This is Impact Wrestling star Jordynne Grace, and you're watching the What a Day podcast with Joe Lowry.
Live from Boston Broadcasting in the What a Day studios, this is the What a Day podcast with your host, Joe Lowry. Hey everybody, Joe Lowry, What a Day, and welcome to the What a Day podcast. My guest today is perhaps one of the most rising stars in the professional wrestling industry. She is a Pro Wrestling Illustrated 500 finalist, coming in at number 26 back in 2019. She has been involved with Nova Wrestling, World Series of Wrestling, Black Label Pro Wrestling, just to name a few. And most recently, she is the former Impact Knockouts champion. Let's have a warm welcome for Impact Wrestling star, Miss Jordynne Grace. Jordynne, welcome to the show.
Hey, Joe, what a day.
Great to have you. All right, first off, looking at your resume, very extensive resume, how long have you been in professional wrestling?
I have been wrestling for 10 years now. Wow,
amazing. And how did you get into the professional wrestling?
Well, it's a long story, but it's also a short story, so I'll make it short. Back in the days of MySpace, my mom was doing like a lot of online dating back then on MySpace, and she actually ended up meeting and marrying a guy who was an independent professional wrestler in Texas at the time. Yeah, so I just watched it when he was around all the time, and I went to a few training classes, and I fell in love with it.
Right. Now, who were you trained by? Anybody famous or just local independents?
No one famous.
Nobody famous? Okay.
No one famous at all.
Okay, but they introduced you to it and you just fell in love with it, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I actually learned like a lot on the road. I was always open ears, and I would take advice from anybody I could. So
right.
That was one of the ways that I really got trained, was just by experience, learning on the job.
Yep, on the job training. Now, you've obviously been in the independents for quite some time before arriving at Impact. What was it like there? Were you just segregated to one area, or did you travel around a lot?
Well, when I was younger, before I graduated high school, I was pretty much just stuck in one area, obviously, because I had to finish high school.
Right.
But as soon as I finished high school, I ended up moving to the Midwest, to St. Louis, and I was there for a while. Then I met my fiance now, Jonathan Gresham.
Okay.
And we moved to Atlanta, and then we moved up to York, Pennsylvania. A year of living together, and we stayed there for a while, and that was kind of where the all-in stuff happened, and everything just kind of started to snowball from there.
Okay, excellent. And so, do you remember your actual debut match? Who it was against, or?
My debut match was not a singles match; it was a battle royal.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I got thrown out of the ring in about 45 seconds.
Welcome to wrestling, huh? I tell you.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you've been in around 10 years and so forth. Now, did you watch wrestling growing up when you were younger? Did you have any superstars? Were you WWE fan, NWA fan, anybody like WCW? I do believe was around at that time.
No, I didn't even know any of that stuff existed.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, I probably started watching when I was like 10 years old. One of my favorite wrestlers was Evan Bourne, which is it's kind of funny, just because I loved that he could do the shooting star press. I think that was the only time I'd ever seen such like an awesome move at the time.
Right. No, yeah.
Yeah, he was definitely one of my favorites, and also Beth Phoenix was one of my favorites for sure.
Oh, Betty, she's awesome. Yeah, I've talked to her a couple of times, trying to get her on here. Her schedule's kind of crazy, but
yeah,
she was kind of like, because I've been watching. Obviously, I've been around for years, a little bit longer than you, but I've been watching it for many years, and she kind of came along with that Divas and all that, and she to me was. With the women in wrestling, I like the wrestling aspect of it. I know a lot of the fans like the, I hate to be blunt, but like the good-looking girls and all that stuff, and the fluff and the puff and everything. But I like wrestling. So, and she came along at a time when it was like all divas, and then she showed up and she was just body slamming and power pressing, and you kind of remind me of her in a way. Watching you wrestle, and I got to tell you, now I don't know if you saw, I did a expose on both you and Deanna's match from Slammiversary. You guys, I will tell you, your match at Slammiversary was the first time, and I told Maria this, I told my other guests this, for 20 minutes, I didn't put nothing, I put everything aside and watched you guys for 20 minutes. You did not need a crowd for that match. You both tore it up.
Glad you did that, because we beat the shit out of each other. So.
Yeah, you can hear it, you can feel it. I felt it.
I'm glad it came off well, and I'm glad that everybody liked it and enjoyed it, because it feels almost impossible when there's not a crowd not there. Like, it's exhausting.
It is tough. It is very tough. I mean, a lot of people I've been interviewing lately saying it's probably one of the toughest things to do is perform without a crowd, because you're feeding into what they're feeding off you. And when you try and do it via TV, it's tough. You know, it's tough. How did you feel wrestling on a pay-per-view with nobody there?
Man, I was so stressed out. Like, I was stressed out for weeks before the pay-per-view happened, because just because there's no crowd, there's nothing to play into, there's nothing to like base your pacing of the match on.
Right.
So it's a lot easier to get exhausted during the match because you can't play off the crowd. You can't really slow down because you have to have something exciting going on pretty much at all times to keep people's attention on the TV. And also, just, you don't know how things come off, because when you do a move and it looks cool, everybody in the crowd reacts a certain way.
You get the reaction,
So when you do like a big move for the first time, or when you do something you don't exactly know how it came off and you hear nothing.
Right.
It's
now are the announcers there with you? Can you hear the announcers at all when they call in the match, or do they do voiceover after that? Some do, some don't. It depends on the match.
They were at the pay-per-view, they did it live, but during tapings they don't do it live. They record over it.
It gets held at, Now, when I was watching the match, you know, I had my phone, you know, like all of us, we're social media hounds, so we're tweeting away and all that. And, you know, for 15 minutes, you guys hypnotized me. And I'm like, is anybody watching this match right now in Slammiversary? I went out as far as I went on a show last Tuesday on VOC Nation. I said, they were all talking about Extreme Rules and all that. And I said, did anybody watch Slammiversary? Because I thought that pay-per-view totally kicked WWE's ass. And I hate to say that. But your match in general, I thought was the match of the night. I mean, I'm a Chris Bay fan. I like them all. But I think your match with Gianna was just, to me, two wrestlers actually wrestling. It wasn't like you told the story in the ring. You beat the hell out of each other. You could hear it. You could feel it. And like I said, you didn't need a crowd. What was the feedback like backstage after your match? Did you guys know you had kind of like lightning in a bottle, so to speak?
Well, actually, I mean, I didn't know how to feel at first, but all the girls came up, like all the knockouts came up to us afterwards as a group, and they just told us that they loved it and it was incredible. And that made me feel validated that we actually like kicked each other's ass like that for a good reason. Yep. So that was me and Gianna's first time wrestling in years.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I don't know how long she was in WWE, but maybe for like 3 years or so. She was
something like, but a little under 3.
So we haven't wrestled in probably like 3 years, and we've both gotten just, I think, so much better since the last time we wrestled. Mm-hmm. So I was extremely happy with it.
Yeah, I was mentioning Deanna's capability as well. She totally came out of her shell in that match, because even other girls from NXT, AEW were tweeting saying, "Oh, way to go, Deanna," because they saw another side of her that I never saw before. You know, you get the entertainment value, but the wrestling was just unbelievable. I can't tout you guys enough, and that's part of the reason why I reached out to both you and Deanna to have you on the show. So I'm like, I got to get a hold of these two, because to me, like I said, the first time in a long time, I was away out of my element for 20 minutes watching you guys wrestle. And I want to thank you for that, because that was really, really good. Yeah. So speaking of all that, you got another pay-per-view coming up. It's a 2-week type of broadcast. Emergence is coming up with your rematch with Deanna. What do we expect with that?
I guess you're just going to expect me to put on the fight of my life. I'm going to try to get the title back.
Yeah. So
I worked a long time to try to get it. So to have it kind of ripped away from me like that sucked a lot. Yeah,
I don't blame it. Now you, I saw a thing online. They call you Thick Mama Pump. Is that a nickname, or has that been?
That's a moniker that I use.
Is it? No, I think it's really good. Do you lift weights? Do you bodybuild?
No, I don't bodybuild. I power lift.
You power lift. You can tell. And you, what's your dead weight? What do you do? How much can you lift?
I mean, obviously, I haven't been powerlifting lately because no competitions going on.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I power lifted all throughout high school, and the last competition I did was a couple of years ago. But hopefully, when everything lets up, I was planning on doing one this year, but that doesn't seem going to happen anymore.
Right. But you seem to really, for someone who just got right into wrestling, you seem to have grown a lot in that. Do you think you have a lot more to learn wrestling wise? Or, I mean, I know you're always learning, but a lot of people just do the same stuff over and over for 10 years. You've seen that?
Yeah. Oh,
I've seen a couple of your matches. I see something new.
I've done the same thing over and over again. I have changed so much. I used to wear like tie-dye pants, just like the most basic of the basic. And my moveset was completely different. So I've learned a lot in the past 10 years. And you called me a rising star at the beginning of the interview. I feel like I've been a rising star for forever now. So I wonder.
You're at a different level.
But yeah, I definitely have more to learn. I think you never stop learning, and everybody always has something else they can take from a person that's more experienced than them.
Right. Now, you signed, are you currently on a contract with Impact for like 2 years, or you got an extension or anything like that? Or
in May. So,
in May. Any thoughts of resigning, or have you been on the radar with anybody that you know of? Or?
I mean, it just depends on what happens. Everything's kind of up in the air with COVID. So
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know who's hiring. I don't know what's happening. So I guess we'll just kind of find out at the year end. There's still like 9 months left or something.
Oh, yeah.
So there's still plenty of time to figure all that out.
Yeah, I think everything is probably going to be, I mean, I don't know how it is where you were in Baltimore, but I think a lot of it's going to be, I was looking forward to SummerSlam this year because that was in my backyard, Boston, and they totally took that away from us. And it looks like even football is going to be affected now. So I couldn't even tell you when we're going to see a live crowd again.
Yeah, I got a COVID test last week, and then I got a COVID test today because
I saw that
every single weekend.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. You were having a little medical dialogue with people about what kind of testing it was and so forth.
Twitter is so exhausting sometimes.
It is. It's a full-time job. I understand. I mean, I hear you.
I really do try to stay off of it, but it's a place that I go to kill time and, sell my merchandise.
Yep. Promotional.
Impossible to stay off of. Everybody.
That's what I do. Yep. I do the promotional aspect. I was same with Facebook. I know it's a dying thing now. Parler's a new thing coming around now that people are getting into because just censorship now is just off the wall with social media. I mean, if you say something wrong, they'll either flag you or you're attacked by 10,000 people. Hey, what do you mean by that? But it was funny because, because I know you don't tweet a lot. But when I saw your COVID test this morning and I'm like, all of a sudden I see the comments, I'm like, Jesus Christmas, what's going on? She's just getting a COVID test. And people are like, oh, that's going to do this and that. And I'm like, come on, people. She's getting a COVID test. I mean, relax.
Do not get me started on Twitter because I could go all day long.
Do you do a lot of interaction with fans off of Twitter? Do you have like a website or anything like that? Or
I'm on a Patreon.
So yeah, you do a lot of that.
So I actually have like a private Snapchat, a private Instagram, and I communicate with fans pretty much all day. I also do online personal training, so I'm constantly talking to fans that are wanting to do personal training. Yeah. So yeah, pretty much. I just try to stay off. I just try not to talk to people on Twitter as much because I don't want to get into an argument or.
Yeah, you don't want to blemish the character. I get it.
Yeah, celebrities in general are under a microscope, at all times. So no matter what you say, someone's going to take it the wrong way.
Oh, I hear you there.
You have to be careful not to say anything that might be misinterpreted any kind of way.
Yeah, that's kind of why I do. A lot of people when they do podcasts, they film them now, because I've noticed a lot of people who did audio podcasts. People I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Well, okay, you probably didn't because we don't have any proof of it except it's just an audio.
Yeah.
So a lot of people now do the podcast with the visuals. So yeah, you did say it. But
I think you contacted me and I said I don't want to do it because I don't want to say anything stupid.
No, I wouldn't put you in that position. That's being a professional. Hey, I'm not looking for the headline. I don't need the headlines. You need the headlines, but I'm just saying in the wrestling aspect of it, you don't need it on a personal level and so forth. So you're engaged. Does he wrestle still or?
Yeah, Ring of Honor isn't running right now. I think they're going to end of the month or at the beginning of next month. But yeah, he's still signed to Ring of Honor. So they're owned by a huge company. So I guess they don't want to do anything at all. It's insane.
Yeah, it'd be good if you guys can incorporate, because I know Luke and Doc and all them were mentioning that. Luke Gallows, they were trying to see about if it was New Japan or Ring of Honor, tried to merge that with Impact. Talent-wise, it'd be unbelievable. So. Yeah,
I think from what I understand that's already been a thing that's been discussed, but it's never going to happen.
Right. No, I understand. But I mean, with this day and age, anything's possible. Anything's possible. Now, do you watch any other wrestling at this time? Do you try to keep up with everything that's going on elsewhere? AEW, WWE, or?
Honestly, the only thing I watch is what's on either a YouTube or Twitter or Instagram. I only see that stuff. I don't have regular TV. so I don't watch anything on TV at all, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I try to keep up with it as much as possible because a lot of those people are my friends and my coworkers. So I know Veda Scott just did commentary for the women's tournament, which was awesome. I was super happy about that.
Yep, she was doing good. Yep.
So I try to keep up with it as much as I can while leading a regular life and not letting wrestling consume me.
Yeah, no, I hear you. What are your thoughts on AEW and their success? Did you see that coming?
I don't think anybody was surprised that they were successful. Like, really? People that they had, like, backing them and behind them. Right. Cody, the Bucks, Tony, just like, it couldn't have failed, like, in my opinion.
Right. No, it's funny because I think there are like a couple of shows, things like 2 or 3 more shows without crowds, and they'll have more shows without crowds than they had with crowds when they debuted last October. And of course, you've seen the ratings, all about how successful they're doing and so forth. I mean, I like them. I'll be honest with you. I love their new approach to it. To me, it's going back 20 years. It's what happened when Vince bought WCW. Vince became this huge conglomerate, and it got boring and it got blasé, and they had to find new ways to innovate. Here, AEW is not doing anything really different. They're just going out and doing their thing, and it's successful. And to me, I think that's the big reason why a lot of people are tuning them in, as opposed to NXT right now. I can never really say that I dislike a company because the more companies there are, the more jobs that there are for people to have. So, and regardless of how they're run, as long as my friends and my coworkers are getting paid fairly and they're treated right, then I have no room to talk at all or complain. Right. Excellent. So, any thoughts on what happened with Tessa Blanchard? Have they told you guys? She's obviously not coming back. I know there was something about the title being held hostage and all this crazy crap you read online, but I don't think that's true. But that is not true. I honestly don't know where that came from, but people make up stuff all the time. So I know. But I know for a fact that that's not true. So I don't know where that came from. Yeah, I hear you. But Tessa's extremely talented. She's one of the best in the world. There's nobody that can really deny that. So I think she's gonna land on her feet somewhere. Were you shocked that when they let her go? Were you shocked by that? Not particularly. Really? To be honest, I wasn't super surprised because I'm not sure. I mean, I do think that they like Tessa, but after you win the world title, I don't know where else you can go, I guess. So I guess she would just be in the world title picture for God knows how long. Yeah. But, it wasn't right for Impact and it wasn't right for Tessa, so it only makes sense that ties. Well, it's tough because she won the title. It was the first intergender championship and all that, and then here comes COVID, and it's like, now what? It was like. I don't think it was her fault at all that she couldn't make the tapings. She lives in Mexico. Yeah. So kind of like the whole thing was just a mess. COVID really ruined everything. Storylines were. Yeah. Oh, I know. I understand. Yeah. It was just insane. Things with me that I filmed weren't even on TV because of COVID because it didn't make sense for what story they were doing. I think I had the Knockouts title and I was off TV for like 2 months straight, not doing anything. Yeah. So it definitely sucked for everybody. Right. When did you find out, going back to the Knockouts Championship, when did you know that you were going to be getting that? They were going to award you with that? I think I knew the day before. They don't tell us anything ever. But we were in Mexico, so I think I had asked, what are we doing tomorrow? And they told me about me and Taya's match, and they told me, I was winning it, and I was like, I think the weekend before or 2 weeks before, there was like a big pay-per-view. I think it was Hard to Kill. Yeah. It was Taya and ODB. So I just thought it was funny that I won it 2 weeks later. Yeah. So that's good. So you've been, with you and Deanna, are you guys going to be running a program? Is it going to just be the rematch and that's it? Have they told you if you're going to, because I think you two should carry this. If it was up to me, you could milk this for a year. Legitimately, I have no idea. They write stuff like the week before TV sometimes especially because of COVID now, they don't know who's going to be able to make it. I get sick and I wouldn't be able to make the tapings next week and they would have to just rewrite everything. Right. Exactly. I figure that's how it is. Now, you said you get tested all the time. Do they test everybody in the for the tapings?
They only test people who have been in contact with someone who had COVID. I'm getting tested just for my sanity because literally I'm flying so much, and my wedding is coming up at the end of September. So I want to make sure that I'm not going to put anybody at risk.
Right. Well, I don't know if you want to, like, here in Massachusetts, we have a travel restriction now that anybody coming in has to provide a COVID negative test and quarantine for 14 days. So I can only imagine with your traveling schedule in more states actually joining this curriculum that could be the case. So if you're flying out to somewhere to do a taping or whatever, you're going to have to get tested. So, I mean.
So I'm under the impression that you only have to do that if you're staying in town, right? Like
it depends. It's every state's different. I just know Massachusetts, like to me right now, if I want to shoot down to Rhode Island and come back, if I get stopped coming back, they're going to be like, well, what'd you go down there for? And I'll say, I visited my son-in-law. And they'll be like, well, do you have a negative COVID test? And if I don't, I have 14 days to provide one. If not, I get a $500 fine. So it's crazy, I know, but they're just trying to mitigate again in a different sense of traveling. So I can just see the travel restrictions amping up now, especially with states that are high, like California, Texas, Florida. Like you said, with your travel schedule, you might have to carry around a card that says, I'm COVID free, or, I have a negative COVID test. So
I think it's definitely important if you're traveling as much as I am, or even a little bit less than I am, that you need to get tested as often as you can. And I came back on Monday, and I'm getting tested today, and then I'll get tested again next week and the week after, and just trying to do it as much as possible. I'm very lucky that my health insurance covers COVID tests, just like I don't have to pay anything for it.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's nationwide now, that all COVID tests. Okay. Yeah. But so theoretically, Impact doesn't test anybody, only if you've obviously been in contact with somebody with COVID.
I know they tested a bunch of people last tapings, and it all came back negative, so everything was fine. But we do have to wear masks. We have to do the temperature checks. We have to fill out some kind of form whenever we get in there. But they have like the doctors there every day to make sure that symptoms, everyone's wearing a mask. I mean, they are definitely taking precautions. They're sending out emails saying, please, if you can, don't leave the hotel.
Right.
Like
obviously.
Stuff like, and we all have our own rooms right now, which is awesome.
Right. Now, what's the taping schedule like? Are you guys taping all in one day a couple of weeks out, or what's your taping schedule been like?
So this next, we taped 2 weeks ago for 3 days, and then we're coming back to tape for 4 days straight next week, and then we're off for 2 months straight.
Oh, really? Okay. So what are they going to do with so the taping emergence, I'm assuming then, right? Because it's a 2-week pay-per-view type thing?
That was already taped.
Oh, that was already taped. Oh, it was, huh?
Yeah.
How'd you do?
Well, I guess we'll see. You don't know. There might be an extra 10 pounds in my bag right now.
There you go. Oh, does it really weigh that much? 10 pounds?
Yeah, that's how much it is. It makes my bag go over every single time when I weigh it.
Oh, really? Well, because you have to pay baggage fees and all that stuff?
Yep.
Oh, my goodness. As you can see, I don't know if you can see behind me, but I collect a few myself, so.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Oh, yeah.
Like
I got some on the wall you probably can't see, but I got some. I just have been a collector since I was a kid, so.
Yeah, but they've been pretty strict about also telling people, like, no spoilers, so.
Oh, yeah, no, I wouldn't want you to. I wouldn't want that. I like to watch it. I like to be surprised, just like I was surprised the night you and Deanna tore it up for 20 minutes on Slammiversary. So, I'd like that. So, so you're getting married. Any plans for the wedding? Like when you guys do you have a date set or?
Yeah, so we actually had to cancel our wedding the first time. So it was in March. So we canceled. Okay. And we rescheduled it for September 27th. So that's next month on a Sunday. Okay. My mother is actually a wedding planner, so pretty lucky in that aspect. And she owns an outdoor wedding venue.
Nice.
So everything is going to be outside, which is good. We're going to have like sanitation stations. Yeah. It's food truck themed.
Oh, so, nice.
Yeah, all the food trucks come and they have like plexiglass thing.
Yeah.
So we're taking as much precaution as possible.
Right. Is everybody from Impact going?
There's a lot of people that just don't want to travel and they don't want to risk it. So I don't blame them at all.
No, are you getting married in Baltimore or are you going somewhere else?
No, we're getting married in Austin.
Oh, okay. So that's where you're from, right?
Yeah, that's where I'm from.
Are you a Cowboys fan?
I feel like I have to be, right?
No,
I don't really watch football, but I feel like by default that's what I have to be.
Yeah. Well, I'm still reeling from the New England Patriots. I've been a Pats fan all my life, so I'm still reeling with Tom Brady and Gronkowski going to Tampa. So, I mean, the only plus side, he just turned 43, so he doesn't have much time left. So,
my ex-boyfriend was a huge Patriots fan, and I could never get him to stop talking about the Patriots. So,
I wasn't like that. We were just, we were good, but I mean, growing up when I was a kid, they stunk so bad. So when Tom Brady and that all happened, I relished the 20 years. Plus, you had the Red Sox and the Bruins and everybody else. Celtics, we had some fun back in the days. So, but just basically with Impact, what do you think of their new signings, Heath and all those guys coming in? Do you think it's going to help the company?
Yeah, I
think
in
the long run.
It got more eyes on the company for sure. Yeah. I know that this last pay-per-view, I think, was their most purchased one. And
yep, I did see that. I'm actually waiting for ratings right now for last night.
Oh, okay.
Be out soon. So
yeah, so I really think we've been trying to turn over a new leaf for so long, and I think we finally might start doing it. And hopefully, I think the Impact knockouts are going to be a big part of that.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of new women talent coming in that are on the horizon that are coming in, or?
I legitimately have no idea.
No, they don't tell you.
Sometimes I don't even know who's coming in until I see them there, and I'm like,
oh wow, okay.
I didn't even know you were coming.
That's awesome. Who would you like to, besides Deanna, would you like to see a tag team? Would you like to team up with somebody? I kind of ask my guests this question. It's all wrestling related. If you had to go after a tag team title run, who would you like to have as a tag team partner?
You know what's so funny is I don't know do you know Alicia Edwards?
I've heard of her. Yes.
Yeah. So Eddie Edwards' wife, she wrestles on occasionally, and she's in a lot of the storylines. But she actually messaged me and she said that she wants to be my tag partner. So
nice.
Since she reached out to me, I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I think that would be good. She's super small, so I can throw her at people. It'll be cool.
Yeah. So another question I like to ask my guests is, it's weird because some of the people have already passed their prime and so forth. I'm going to say you're just coming up on your prime. If not, you're getting there.
My body's feeling it.
yeah. I saw a couple of interviews with your intergender. You don't like those matches. You seem to get hurt a lot in those matches.
It's definitely not that I don't like intergender matches or wrestling men. It's that there are some guys that take advantage. And I'm not saying that all guys do it, but there are specific people who I think are just unprofessional in wrestling.
When you say take advantage, what do you mean by that?
I mean, I'm obviously 150 pounds. I'm a lot smaller than a lot of these guys. So they just feel like they can throw you as far as they can. And I'm not saying that. So I think that when I said that, people were like, oh, she doesn't like intergender wrestling, which is not the case. I love intergender wrestling. I've done it my entire life. I'm a huge advocate of it.
Right.
I was just saying there are specific instances over the course of my 10 years where guys have taken advantage of me.
Right.
And I've never gotten seriously injured, but by the same token, there's been women that have injured me as well. It's just, it depends on the person.
Sure.
But I do think guys sometimes take advantage of wrestling girls and are like, oh, I can throw you so much farther than I can throw the guys. Whatever.
I don't know. I guess that seems like what kind of injuries have you had?
Luckily, nothing major. The only thing that was really bad that I had was a torn rotator cuff, but I was 15 when I got it. So
ouch. Yeah.
Nothing really since then besides rolled ankle, nothing crazy.
Yeah. So knock on wood. I hear you there.
Lucky. I don't know how.
Wow. Unbelievable. So another question I'd like to ask is, right now, we'll just take it right now. What would your dream match be with anybody in women's wrestling? Anybody across all brands? Who would you like to step in the ring with and go at it with?
So I feel like, I obviously have to say the person I grew up wrestling and was a role model to me was Beth Phoenix.
Okay.
So if she ever came out of retirement and was wrestling again, I think that would be incredible. Right. I've also been watching a lot of Sasha Banks matches lately, and I think that would be a really good match. I think she kills it every time, and she always gives it her all.
Yeah.
So I think I do.
Yeah, they're giving her a big run now, so that's good.
Yeah, she's very talented.
So Sasha Banks, Beth Phoenix, anybody else that you could think of that you like a Charlotte Flair? Would you think you'd match up well with her?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's always the obvious ones, right?
Right.
Like that would be incredible. Like really, I would love to wrestle anybody, any of the women in WWE. I think that they're all talented and they all have immense potential. So I think that would be great.
I mean, I know I could probably see you in the long run heading over there at some point, whether it's NXT, SmackDown, or whatever. Have you thought about, after Impact? I know a lot of people like to gain their experience and go to another company and so forth. If you ever had the chance to try out and go there, would you do that?
I would. I'm not saying that I wouldn't do it. I definitely would. But I think maybe by the time that WWE is like seriously interested in me and offering me something that I would want, because I'm scared to WWE just because I don't think that they would use me at all, which I guess it's not a bad thing to sit around and do nothing and get paid. But by the same token, I'm at a point in my career right now where I want to be doing stuff. So, I mean, if I get to be 30 years old and WWE is still interested in me, then yeah, for sure. My ultimate goal is to become an agent somewhere.
Really?
There's not enough female agents. There's barely any, and I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
You mean you mean female agents for females, or for wrestling in general, or for anything else?
I think for females, I think a lot of women need someone who's been wrestling for a long time, and they need some kind of guidance to put together their matches, or just to bounce ideas off of. And I think that I would be really good at that job.
Why don't you try start it now? Start doing it now. You're in the business. You could offer a lot of advice.
I don't want to play that card yet. I just want to wait a little while.
Come on, take a chance. You can do it.
I want to have a few more really good matches, and then that'll be my resume. Be like, look, I can have good matches. I can tell people how to have good matches now. So
right, there you go. Now, speaking of staying on the wrestling demon, who you'd like to wrestle on the male side of things? I know you don't like the intergender matches, but have you ever thought about?
Don't say that. I love intergender.
Not that you don't like it. I know. Let's strike that. But who would you see yourself having a good match with, male wise? Across the board, anybody.
I just saw Kylie Ray wrestle someone recently that I think is really good. I think his name is Cole. I don't know if you watch GCW at all.
A little bit.
But his name is Cole Radrick. I think it's Radrick.
Okay.
But he does just really unique stuff, and he has cool transitions into getting into stuff, and I think he's really good.
Right.
I would also really like to wrestle Brian Cage again at some point. Yeah.
He's huge. I didn't know how big he was until I saw him.
He's gigantic.
Oh my goodness. I mean, he's a wrestler to me. See, I grew up in the era where they were larger than life characters. Like when I grew up watching the Magnificent Moroccos and all those guys, Jimmy Snuka and all them, they were huge. Yeah. They were bodybuilders. They were big. I was a 12-year-old scrawny little kid, patting them on the back, and they were like rocks. Now it's like you see a Seth Rollins or a Finn Balor coming down the street. They're like, oh, it's just another guy. It's like, I don't mean to, they're great athletes. Don't get me wrong. But I grew up in that era where these guys were larger than life, like Andre the Giant, all those guys.
He is definitely larger than life. It's actually ridiculous.
Yeah, I see him next to Taz, and Taz ain't no slouch either. I know he's shorter, but Taz is a big guy too. But when I saw him, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. That guy's obviously they have plans for him as well, I'm sure. So that'd be interesting. But that's funny. You say Brian Cage, huh? He'd throw you around.
Yeah, I mean, we wrestled before. We did that whole thing at All In, and then we wrestled a single match. But I think that I've gotten better since the last time we wrestled 3 years ago. So I think it'd be good.
Were you shocked that he went to AEW? Because I know he got WWE offered him, and he said no.
No.
You knew
I was the least surprised I've ever been by anything.
No kidding, huh?
He was talking about it to everyone. So I mean,
right, awesome. So. Where are you going to be? Where do you see yourself in 5 years now? What are some of your goals that you're looking forward to? I know that the agent part. You said professionally, wrestling wise. 5 years from now, we go ahead and we Google Jordynne Grace. What do we see? What would you like to see pop up there?
Realistically, I would love to work in the same company as my husband. So I feel like I feel like John can get a job wherever he wants, doing anything. So, and he could probably get me a job wherever he goes to. So, if I don't put my feet somewhere, I think that I'll end up going wherever he goes, just so that we can be together and our schedules can actually match up. And I think it'll just be easier that way.
Right. Now, do you ever think you'll win a world championship?
I mean, if the opportunity presents itself. I don't like to put things out there and then they not happen. So, I mean, my fingers are definitely crossed.
Yeah. You have the talent. I don't understand why. Don't doubt yourself. You have you have good chemistry in the ring. Like I said, I'm looking forward to your rematches with Deanna and so forth. Now, do you guys shoot any vignettes or anything like that off to the side the past couple of weeks? You're gonna get some good stuff outside the ring at all?
Yeah, I think there's like a few things that's coming up before our actual match.
Nice, because I think a lot of eyes are gonna be.
I think you'll enjoy it as a whole. I think you'll really like it.
Oh, there you go. I think overall, with that Slammiversary, I kind of, I hate to say, I don't know if I hate to say it, but with it being on the same weekend as Extreme Rules and how social media is, and I watched both pay-per-views, like I said before earlier in the broadcast, that you guys tore it up. I think everybody tore it up. Slammiversary totally outdid WWE Extreme Rules. Is there any pressure for the next one? I know you guys already taped it, but did you guys feel that pressure going into these tapings that, we want to make it better. We want to keep going?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe I just tune it out, but I only want to compete with myself, and I just want to be better than I was the last time. So that's all I really focus on. If there was that vibe, I didn't notice it at all. I think everybody was just trying to do their best. Yeah. I personally didn't even know there was a WWE pay-per-view that weekend until I saw someone talking about it on Twitter. So I just tune out a lot of stuff, especially when I'm trying to focus on one thing.
No, I don't blame you. Yeah, I don't blame you. So basically, Deanna and you guys got a match coming up against Emergence. Down the future, do you guys see yourselves continuing this rivalry later on?
I feel like we click so well and we have such great chemistry.
Those moves you guys do, it's like you had me sucked in. I'm like, oh my god. I'm like,
it makes sense for us not to do a program together or move forward together. I don't think it makes any sense at all.
Even the stuff outside the ring. I mean, the beginning, she was playing the cat and mouse game and you didn't have it. You threw yourself out of the ring and on top of her, and that just started. I'm like, that caught my attention. Like, okay, something's up here. And the storytelling, I'm raving about this match. I don't know why. I told you I was on that show last week, and they're like, Joe, you can't stop talking about that Deanna Jordynne Grace match. I'm like, I know. It's just, I got goosebumps. It's like, I haven't seen a match like that in a very long time where two people generally tell a story in the ring. And it was impressive. It was awesome. I did an expose on it. I'll send it to you in an email. I did a little 3-minute thing on you guys, and they loved it. They're like, that's a great expose. And I'm like, it was a great match. I mean, those things are easy to put together when it's a great match. And it was a great match. You guys did really, really match of the year, if you ask me right now. Good.
I was very proud of it.
Yeah. I mean, I can't wait to see that. Like I said, I can't wait to see where you guys go with it, but it's just been incredible. What about backstage with the new guys and so forth? Do you guys have trainers, like people that have been in the business for a while that guide you with certain things? I've always been meaning to ask that.
Those are the agents.
The agents, okay.
Yeah, we have agents. Gail is an agent, but she wasn't there this last time because she actually was exposed to someone with COVID, so she had to stay home. Ah, okay. Rain is an agent now.
Oh, she is, okay. Yeah.
D'Lo is an agent. Honestly, the guys have different agents, so I'm not 100% sure who they are. But yeah, we all have different agents, and everybody has to tell them our match, and they have to approve it. Blah 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 blah.
Now, have you ever wrestled Gail, Kim? Have you ever wrestled her?
No, I've never wrestled her. Never.
No. Yeah, she was someone I used to see in WWE years ago. When they started that Diva transformation and all that, and then she went on to TNA Impact after that. So, but I've been trying to get her on the show as well, and she's like, next week. I'm like, okay. So she's good, and my wife loves her husband's cooking show, so it's like,
yeah.
But Yeah, so your contract ends up next May. You don't know what's going to happen. What's your gut say? Sometimes your gut tells you. It could be a different world then. We don't even know. I mean,
honestly, I love Impact. I
Right.
love what they give to the women. I don't think there's a lot of companies out there, if at all, that have like 3 or 4 different women's storylines going on at one time.
but
And
you don't know.
I think that that's a really big deal, and I think that that would be a reason to stay loyal, just because they just. I mean, I really think they see the value in women's wrestling and how women can, main event the show.
Well, I think ratings wise, if you look at WWE with Sasha and Bailey, they're grabbing the ratings. Lacey Evans, who I've worked with, she's a great character. I mean, they have a lot of these women that come in. It's like they try them out, and if they don't work, that's it. See you later. But if you stick around long enough, then I think the women, with the Raw, what was it, Raw this past Monday, their ratings I think did better with the women than the guys. With the 3 hour, if you're a geek like me and you study the numbers and you look at the demographics, it's like they're watching the girls more than the guys.
Well, there you.
Nobody, like I said, the Slammiversary, same with you guys. I thought you were the match of the night. So there's no doubt why you guys can't continue to tear it up. So that'll probably just about wrap it up here. That's all I got for you. Got anything for me?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I didn't write any questions down.
No, that's all right. That's great. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. It's very, very, very nice to talk to you. You're very down to earth. You seem like you know what's going on. You're a very talented wrestler. I can't tout you enough. Looking forward to your matches with Deanna. And do you have anything left to say to the fans out there?
I just want to thank them for all their support and just stay safe. Be careful.
All right. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. Everybody, that has been Impact Wrestling sensation, I'll call her now, the former Knockouts champion, Jordynne Grace, here on the What a Day podcast. I want to thank her for coming on the show. And you have been listening to the What a Day podcast, everybody. I'm Joe Lowry. What a day.
Hey, Joe. What a day.
This has been a What a Day production. Filmed on location at What a Day Studios. The views expressed by Joe Lowry are his and his alone, and that's how it is, so just deal with it. This has been a What a Day production.